This is not meant for children. That's my quote for Kappa. Besides this is the first time seeing my channel use review cartoon series, anime series, all something completely random, and today will be a first impression of Yabba Dabba Dinosaur episode 1. And oh my god, no. I do not mean, oh my god, this is cringy. No, it's not that level of bad or not level of good. It's a pilot episode, so I was sort of expecting something bad the first episode, and this one really not disappointing being bad. I mean, this one feels sort of a YouTube first time animator who has experience but didn't know how to execute the episode properly, because some of the edits of this episode is really noticeable. Even to people who don't really notice or understand how to edit a certain character, a certain place, say something and look at a different direction kind of edit. Yeah, this was pretty bad. This is pretty bad. In fact, let me put it this way. This is a perfect example how you should not edit something. In the beginning, you do not notice it, but later on, it really shows. Besides that, the show was technically not bad or not good. It's not even, oh, it's a fun episode. No, it's middle of the road. It's something that you could be really pissed off, or you be sort of trying to be supportive because you know this is a pilot episode and you trying, okay, I can work with this, I guess. And I think that's I'm basically on that side of the road. I'm trying to support this, but it's kind of hard to say, yeah, this is, you need a lot of things to fix. Like the voice actors, the person who plays Fred Flintstone, he is perfect for Fred. He sounds like, he acts like Fred, but the rest of the cast, Barney, Betty, and Wilma, the voice actors did not sound like the original. Yeah, you expected that, but I never expected to sound super off. I feel a little bit different. You'd be like, okay, it's kind of distracting because I am sort of a fan of the Flintstones. Yeah, I know how these voice actors are supposed to sound, so it's something kind of kind of like distracts you. In other words, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to mumble, but it's kind of hard to get my thoughts the thing I watched. Secondly, I like how they portray Pebbles in Batman, because one thing is true, that Pebbles in Batman is part of the weakest characters of the original series, because they did not have a personality. They were babies. Later on, they did develop the personalities. I think the most defining one, at least people who know, who are fans of the Flintstones, is the high school versions of them. Explain the original Pebbles. She was sort of between a hothead and a sweetheart, between his dad and mom kind of personalities, and she's usually is an interesting character to use to certain scenarios, but never actually use it effectively in other words. Except for this one, they decided to change Pebble's personality to make it more curious, more interesting about the world and how to explore it. And in fact, that's kind of grabbed my attention to see, hopefully in the next episode, because that's something they add on this episode, that there are some places of the Flintstones they not explore, like the outside land of Bedrock, the Forbidden Zone, in other words, and they wanted to explore it, and that was basically the first episode, to explore the Forbidden Zone. You want to see, you want to know why it's so forbidden, why it's so dangerous, and that kind of tricked me to watch the episode even more, even give it a second chance, even I did not like this, because Pebbles make me interesting. Batman, like the original Batman, at least the high school, he used to be a musclehead, super strong, but he never used that part of himself. He was so a poetic kind of character who likes to write, but he never really did nothing to that character. Like Pebbles, interesting take of a character, but never used him the right scenarios. And this one kind of get rid of that, just make him a musclehead moron. The fact this actually does quote it that he's the muscles and Pebbles is the brains, and that together they pretty help each other out in kind of a scenario kind of situation. And that I'd be okay, because you know their end game, you know they sort of develop a relationship later on, so you can see they have something here, but it feels they're not sure how to execute it rightly. And that's basically it. You see them sort of going in this sort of dangerous area, and they're trying to basically show you the formula of those two main characters, including the rest of the family. They're basically B-plot, but very not funny. I mean, wow. I really don't want to hate this at all. I really try not to put this down the ground yet, because first episodes, pilot episodes, are usually not that good or not that amazing. They're passable. And this one is really hard to say is bad. I don't want to, but it's almost that level. I kind of need to force to state it. Yeah, it's sort of bad. Especially how the animation is god awful. And on top of all this I said about this episode, that was interesting but bad. Interesting that you hopefully got better in the next episode. This show was only way you can actually watch this show is a fact if you're in England. Yeah, this is from the UK. This was made for Americans, but for some reason they passed it on to the UK to see how they actually do. And some of you have that question, why? Well, they have a lot of interesting reasons, and some of them is pretty obvious. HBO Max. Because they barely got like a month or two, they gotta start the new streaming service, and they need more content, and it makes sense this series to get this series and give at least a season 2, because they need really a lot of content. That's one of the main reasons. A second reason, they really did piss off the original fan base in the United States, because the first images, the controversy, decided to cancel it. Boring a minute, they did cancel the series. I think it was the director or the producer, I don't remember who, first, and filed the rest of the cast later. There were tweets. There was a lot of noise, and everybody thought this was dead. When you see the first episode, you realize, yeah, this was deserved to be canceled. But at the same time, when you see it, when you let your anger, at least your expectation, not watching this episode, you see does has potential to do something different, because they have this kind of mental thing of the Flintstones. You talk to anyone who's not a fan of Flintstones, who knows the concept of it, they keep saying the same thing, is they're not that interesting. I mean, they're rock people. I mean, they're caveman people who live in society, sort of a kind of a comedy family kind of show. But they're actually more in that. They're a scenario kind of characters. You put them in each scenario, you see how they kind of deal with it, especially how their personalities are. People say they're basically one naughty characters, but no, they're kind of complicated. Interestingly, how they sort of work their own personalities with each other and the relationship. The only problem is Hanna-Barbera or Warner Brothers, they really don't know what to do with it, don't know how to execute it. The only time they were super interesting is when they put them in very interesting scenarios. One of the best interesting scenarios is how when Rubble and Betty admitted they cannot have a child, but out of nowhere a child was dropped in their own porch and they want to adopt them. But the only part is the government didn't love them because that man is a special child. He is very unique strength that you feel the parents cannot really handle. That's the reason was so interesting in that episode. I think it's the most infamous episode of the whole franchise because how it was handled super appropriate. Of course, not every single episode of the original, for instance, was handled appropriate. Like Flintstones gambling problem. Yeah, it was interesting, but the comedy was set in the wrong places, and that's the sort of problem with that episode of Flintstone gambling problem. Besides that, if they know what to do with this series, it would be great. In fact, it's the second way to make it interesting is the DC comic of the Flintstones, exploring how the society was created and show these cave people what is marriage, what is a police officer, what is being healthy. In those kind of comic book was funny and interesting to see how the character interact with those type of situations. But hopefully this show pick up a few notes from the comic books and explore it because it feels it was a little bit inspired by it. You also have a new different Flintstones show coming out on HBO Max and also supposedly inspired by the DC comic of the Flintstones and it'll hopefully be better executed. But my final least thought about this show is wait for a few episodes, or in fact wait for the whole season to end so you can skip certain episodes to see if you really like it or not. It's one of those shows that it needs at least a full season to realize what it wants to be and fix some of the problems what it has. But of course, I could be completely wrong. This show could be Dustin Fire at the very end and still be the same as the first episode. But of course, that's just my thoughts. I got nothing else to say. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.